Last month, just this March that passed away a few days ago, I posted a video on Facebook in which I hinted, in fact, the title was Ashamed to be a Nigerian. Actually, what the statement I made there was not about being ashamed to be a Nigerian, but I pointed out some of the incomprehensible, totally evil things and all the unacceptable scenario that Nigeria has become. And I pointed those out and then posted this on Facebook and said I was ashamed to be identified as a Nigerian. I was expecting a lot of controversy on that, but the post has a lot of comments on Facebook, and there was just nobody who disagreed, and that shocked me. I was expecting that people would disagree and help me see reason to feel otherwise, yet nobody did. There was only one comment that wasn't, yes, this is true, me too. Only one comment, and in that comment was, it was only pleading. The person was pleading, hey, my brother and my friend, let's be positive, let's have hope. And when I think about that, how many years of hope are we supposed to have? As I hinted in that video, for many years I stopped many young people who approached me and made plans to say they wanted to leave Nigeria because things were looking hopeless for them. I think I was so blind, I kept thinking Nigeria is a country and that it could work. I was looking at the huge population and all that, and what that means in economics. In economic sense, 200 million people, and in the time this was happening, we're about 100 and something million people. That means a lot of money. I mean, opportunities. Yet, from that time, from the time of independence to now, we have only had rogue politicians as lead rulers. And what they have done is to shrink the whole country to the extent at this time, it cannot sustain anybody. It can't even sustain itself, not to talk of sustaining the rising generation. So that's why I made that statement and I still stand by it. The one that shocked me is not the fact that the more shock came. First, I was shocked nobody was criticizing me terribly about that statement because I was expecting that. But then I got really more shocked recently when some students who are schooling abroad from Nigeria, got in touch with me and said, well, they really didn't want to go out in the public, but that what I said is correct, and that they are also ashamed of being identified as Nigerians. And many of them revealed that many of the Nigerians, especially those in America, as soon as you are conversing with them and you ask them where do they come from, they will choose one of those states in America that has a lot of Black African American population. They'll say, oh, places like Maryland, places like Texas. They will say, oh, we came from Texas. We are from Atlanta. We came from. So all those places where there are a lot of African Americans, these Nigerians who claim that that's where they come from because they are ashamed to be identified as Nigerians. This is not a good thing. And I'm not speaking this just for the sake of trying to criticize. I'm speaking this to see if we can wake the sleeping people of Nigeria up, especially the youth and rising generations. During this election in February, it appeared that they have risen. Preparatory to the election, a lot of the youths rose up from different corners, formed different groups, created many social media groups, and then they campaign and they talk to each other and they fought. And knowing this country the way I knew it, I made a podcast here where I asked, what will Nigerian youth do? Because I'm seeing their fervor. I saw how their fervor. I saw the way they kind of galvanize themselves for the first time in history. And, say they were going to look for their own election. They are going to find themselves. They will establish the fact that they are. Because, they say if you don't say, here am I, nobody will say that, there you are. So the Nigerian youth actually, and I can see that, I saw that, spoke to a number of them, actually this time raised their voice and said, hey, we are here and we're going to decide what will happen. But because I know the way this country is run and I know what these guys do, they believe that the Nigerian youth are docile and they cannot do anything. They believe that shooting the innocent young people on October 2020, at Echo Bridge, at the bridge in Lagos, where they were sitting down protesting the police brutality, shooting and killing many of them, will quieten them. And I think those who rule Nigeria believe that very strongly. And then because they believe that if they do whatever they want to do, the youth will be afraid to come out to say no to the thing they did, they went ahead and declared Tinubu president against the run of the election in the country. That election, everybody saw what it is. The votes at different locations were what they are. And then what they made sure was in all those places they know that the APC will lose, they made sure that the so-called beavers did not work. In fact, nationwide, the beavers that was supposed to beam results, I don't know, I just created that. But, the beavers machine, in fact, when I spoke to many young people, they were so confident that the beavers machine is the solution they are looking for. I did want some of them who were on the platform with me, on this very platform, the Afghan Town Hall Online Television with me, a few days to the election, that, hey, do you forget that the Nigerian authorities rig in a systematic way? So if they rig this election, you need to decide what you do before then. A number of them, they were so confident that beavers is the solution. And what did we see on the election day? Beavers machines refused to work. And I think the Nigerian youth forgot that in 2015, the President Jonathan could not find his name in the voters register. The voting machine, the electronic voting machine in his center, the president of Nigeria sitting, could not work. Systematic rigging. And I want Nigerian youth about that. Say, hey, what if this happens? What will you do? Many of them were so sure beavers will work. And of course, on that day of the election, beavers did not work anywhere. They modeled up everything in such a way that you have nothing except confusion. And they know that at the end of that confusion, they themselves are going to emerge declared, not victorious, but declared as winners of the election, because that's how it has always been. And that is what happened. So the other thing that happened, and this happened first in 2015, and I don't know how they allowed it again to happen. In 2015, it was obvious Jonathan was leading in the elections, and then INEC went on break. When they returned from that break, all the results turned. Buhari won landslide all over the country. Exactly that same system was used this year in the February elections, presidential elections in Nigeria. Before any this thing, the next thing that happened was, so INEC went on break. And as soon as they went on break, the election results changed. Immediately they returned. I don't know why Nigerians are unable to see these things and see and note that this is what is happening. So these Nigerian students, especially the ones in America, anytime you touch them, they'll say, oh, we are not from Nigeria. Oh, we're actually from Maryland. We are from, what's the name of those other places? Oh, New York. All those places that are predominantly African American, that's where the Nigerians will claim they come from. Because of what? And that is as they told me. And of course, even if they didn't tell me, the meaning of that is that they are ashamed to be identified as Nigerians. Now, when you have ruled a country to this point, when you claim to be a political leader, when you claim to be the political mogul of the country, and your country has come to this point, Doesn't common sense tell you that you need to get out, resign, run? But I know that Nigerian politicians won't do that. They prefer to die on the seat because they do not have the capacity for any other life. They can't even function in business. The only business they do is advanced fee fraud businesses, drug business, um, contracts, those contracts that are not executed. When I heard an African Youth Conference a few years back, the young people said that the problem with Nigerian elections, Nigerian leaders, African leaders mainly, is that why maybe an European or American politician will steal 10% of a project cost, a Nigerian politician will steal the first year 100%, second year 100%. By the third year, he will take 50%, drop a few things on the ground, and then scram. And of course, by then, the tenure is finished. Other people will now carry that problem. So in other ways, kind of they steal 400% of a project cost, and they won't deliver the project, and they will go and nobody will stop them. Recently, I met a young man who is well connected to the Nigerian political class of the past. In fact, his uncle is General Gowon of Nigeria. Here is what he said that interested me. He said, hey, how come that Nigerians have laid so low that these people march, trample upon them, and they do nothing? He said he's envisaging and expecting, he's highly expecting the day when, if the children of these politicians drive these brand new cars and like uh, Buhari's son was driving a power bike that was said to cost 100 million naira or more. So when they drive those kind of things and stop in your neighborhood, you just pick them out from that place, burn down that vehicle, and ask them to run down to their parents and tell the parents what you've done. That is what that young man, well, not a young man, he's a 40-something-year-old man, said that that's what Nigerians need to start doing. If not, they will have no place. Of course, the truth is that the Nigerians have no place right now. Only rogues run riot there. The next people that have a place there are bandits, because all you need to control the place is the AK-47, the one that the military is holding. They are using to help politicians to rob the country. And then the bandits have their own, which they use to rob the ordinary common people, drive them from their homes, kill them, shoot them, kidnap them, collect ransom, shoot, carry school children, load them in trucks, march them on foot in hundreds away from schools, and nobody will stop them. The so-called security apparatus of the country is either neck deep in the corruption and kidnapping that is going on in that country, or they are totally morose and morbid. Otherwise, how would bandits come to a school on motorcycles, take away 100 plus students, 300 students, and drive them across several states in the same Nigeria, and they were never stopped? Nobody saw them. Is it true? Nobody stopped them. So what kind of a country will you call that? So if those young men say they are ashamed to be identified as Nigerians, I totally understand with them. Of course, I made a video where I made a post with a heading that says ashamed to be identified as a Nigerian. I mean, it is that bad. It is that bad. And, as I look at all of these things, I wonder what is going to happen tomorrow in that country. Personally, I do not even see it as a country. All countries are striving and working to become nations, meaning all the inhabitants will become of one mind and of one heart, operating one system. In Nigeria, we operate 1,000 or 100,000 system, as much as there are ethnic groups or people with guns enough to stop the others. Then they decide their own. So why wouldn't somebody be ashamed to be a native, a citizen of that country, where things are in the way they are? A country that is so heavily resourced naturally, where the human beings are the best brains anytime they leave the shores of Nigeria. They perform wonders either in government outside Nigeria and they're in governments across the world. I mean, Nigerians in governments across the world. And they perform creditably. The systems are set up that place in so good, they function in them and everything gets great. And Nigerian own case is not like that. Why should people not be ashamed to be identified as Nigerians? I met a man recently. He said, "Oh no, that country is finished. I will never have anything to do with it again." He had lived for 37 years abroad, has raised all his children abroad, and he has grandchildren and all of that. So for him, Nigeria is now a bygone, a password, password. I mean, a bygone, a his. Why wouldn't he be ashamed of being identified in Nigeria with what is going on in that country? Bandits running riot everywhere, including an Abuja capital territory, a place that is supposed to be so well protected. When bandits and Boko Haram and other terrorist groups will sack military barracks and nothing will happen. The only time you see the Nigerian military in action is if they have a village in Igbo land to ransack, they will go there, ransack that village because it is Igbos. And they cannot do anything with the bandits that are running roughshod over the whole country, in the whole of the northern part of Nigeria. Nothing. And then crime and criminality, kidnapping is on every spot. There's no place that is spared. Then, of recent, a place that called itself a country. Somebody comes up, wakes up, and starts from a thought that came from their nose, I'm sure. That thought must have come from their nose, where he said he's changing the color of the money of Nigeria, changed it, crushed the whole country, and nobody has cash to spend. As we speak, up to today, Nigerians are still buying money with money. If you want to withdraw 10,000 naira of your money from the bank, even the bank will collect advance fee or pay you 9,000 or 8,000. If you dare go to the POS machines that are supposedly put in place to make the cashless policy work, it was costing 2,000 to 4,000 to get 10,000. So you ask for 10,000, they debit your account for 10,000, and then they pay you 7,000. At a point, the whole country was on a standstill. I mean, who runs a country like that? Unless people who are thinking from the anus, or less rogues and bandits themselves, except that their own banditry is on the bank. They are doing banditry on the central bank of the country to ensure that no money is available for the people to spend. Even your own money, you can't reach it. Why wouldn't they be ashamed to be called Nigerians? I do not see reason why not. If you think there is a reason why people shouldn't be ashamed to be called Nigerians, get in touch with us. Join us in the studios. We left links on Facebook and other platforms. If you get to them, click on that link and come and join us here and say your say. If you agree with what you're saying, you're also invited to come and say your say. We notice people are watching from the counters, and we expect that you should leave a comment. And then your comments should, criticize us. We actually enjoy being criticized. We want to know what we are doing right and wrong. And if you can't critique us, we will not be able to know those things. So go ahead, fire your criticisms. If you see this on YouTube, if you see it on Facebook, if you see it on LinkedIn, make your comment and then make it as terrible as you want it to be. We are interested in knowing what you think. And if we are right, I agree that we are right to say that Nigerians have good reasons why they should be ashamed to be identified as Nigerians. I know that there are good reasons why Nigerians should be ashamed of being identified as Nigerian. Yes, a lot of good reasons. And I do not blame those students who are already, as soon as you are called, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Maryland. I'm from Texas. I'm from that. And that Arizona. I'm from that and that. All the places they think, Boston, Massachusetts, all those places, they know that there are a lot of African Americans in the population of those states of America. They claim to come from those places. I do not blame them. If you blame them, let us know so we can discuss more. We'll come back again next week to discuss further on this topic, trying to find out if there's any reason why anybody should be happy to be a Nigerian. We'll be glad to know that. Thank you, and do have a great time.